arriving, hi, my name is Javiera, Javi. I go by she, her, and I'm currently managing this space. It's called Green Magic Yoga, where we host, it's a healers collective and a psychedelic wellness space. We're the home of the Center Psychedelic Society. We do a bunch of things. One of them is this Psychedelic First Friday, where we have a bunch of visionary artists showcasing their work. We have Daniel Lesser here, we have Elliot Bliss over there, we have David Stowell with the Mystic over there, we have Haley on the back, psychedelic prints, and actually Elliot and Daniel, they're on the back painting, live painting, if you wanna check that out. We have a bunch of psychedelic tabling, including Joe, where's Joe? There you are. All right, and we have sensitive drug policy students for sensitive drug policy here on this table if you're interested in checking that. We do a bunch of other events like ganja yoga, cannabis meditation. We facilitate microdosing breathwork sessions. And we have sound healers, we have cacao ceremonies, and the Center of the Psychedelic Society also offers some resources for us. We have microdosing hikes, we have peer psychedelic integration circles, and we're opening up this year art and integration, and soon psychedelics in recovery. We have a bunch of really cool things coming up for us. If you like to volunteer for either the space or the society, you can come and say hello afterwards. But for now, I'm gonna leave you with Joe Robbins here from PsiloSafe. We're gonna be talking about testing standards for psilocybin and a little bit around the gray market, right? And maybe you can introduce yourself. Yes, all right.
Definitely support this organization. This is awesome that this is even going on. I found out about this org through Karen about 6 months ago, and I'm like, this is perfect. What a cool way to spend First Friday. This center, as Javi said, is involved with so much, from the ganja yoga to the art to just giving people a chance to showcase what they're doing in the community. This group right here, the sensitive drug policy, thank you so much for your participation. And to everybody else, including the speakers on the ketamine segment previous, thank you so much for your content. So it's an honor to be here tonight. My name is Joe. Not that good at technology, but if I could get someone to tell me what the advancement button is. Here we go. So,
the down one, does it work?
It's just going. Bloop, bloop. I think maybe clear out of that.
Try now.
No. There we go.
All right.
Perfect. So this was today in Sonoma County, actually. I got this picture from a friend of mine. Her parents have a ranch out there. And the presentation started with my ugly ass face on this slide, so I was like, I don't want to start there. I want to start with this fucking double rainbow after the range is cleared out in Sonoma County. So this just happened a few hours ago. That shit is real, slightly enhanced. I got the iPhone. Who am I? Why is this guy up here? My name is Joe. I live in Santa Cruz, and I spent about 20 years in healthcare. You know, it's the typical story in psychedelics. It's like, I was in this shitty job and this shitty life, man, and then I did a mushroom trip, and now here I am, It's like, we all kind of have that similar awakening story, and it's like, it's a Talking Heads song. Like, how the fuck did I get here? Here we are into the psychedelics. So, but I mean, I believe personally that this is the most important movement that's going on the planet right now. Seriously, with so much strife, it has been going on for hundreds of years, thousands of years, and all the negativity that's being blared at us through news media, this psychedelics movement, these community-based groups, and what we are doing in terms of discovering these plants, discovering how to use these plants to help each other, heal each other, is badass. So let's get a round of applause for that right now. Again, so qualifications. I've been in the pharma business. I did big pharma, healthcare, all that stuff, and I started a branding and marketing company about 6 years ago called Conscious Connoisseur Brands. We've got cannabis brands. We help people get into the psilocybin space, and we work with Sacred Earth Medicines. And we have an agency behind me that does all the creative stuff. And so, it's interesting to us to see the commercialization of Sacred Earth Medicines, right? Because it's just an interesting thing to talk about. I mean, these medicines have been used for thousands of years in very indigenous, very real settings, and here we are in this kind of commercialization phase. Like, what's going on? I'm now buying, in high school, I'd buy a Ziploc baggie of shrooms, take it to the face, and just have an enormous experience. Sometimes not with the proper set and setting, and would get into a situation. But now it's like we're coming out with there's all different types of strains that are available. There's different product types, and really all this is being perpetuated by mainstream media, the news, the hustle bustle about this resurgence or this new psychedelic renaissance that's coming. So. What that's leading to is research institutions, privately funded medical institutions, bringing tons of studies and tons of really good information to light, which in a sense is just confirming what our shaman and curandera have known for thousands of years, that psilocybin specifically is a very integral molecule when it comes to human well-being and self-actualization. And so, again, it's a beautiful thing that this is happening. And I mean, these are like the 7 of the top studies that have just started and closed in 2023. And you can see, SSRI, tapering, major depressive disorder, the things that are going on with our veterans and our first responders. I mean, the benefits are so enormously clear. But we have to do this in a responsible fashion. And so, with all of the hubbub and the buzz, there's just so many products that are out there. I can't open up my Instagram feed without getting hit with Amanita gummies or this psychedelic beverage or, I'm just getting bombarded with all these different brands and all these different product mediums that are out there. And it never stops. It's just there's more and more products that are coming out there, and the beautiful thing about it is the awareness factor. But the thing that we need to be advised of is how people are accessing these, who's making these brands and these medications, and then for what purpose are we using them. And my good friend Paul Austin posted in his newsletter today something that I thought was really telling for this particular talk. Here are the trends right now. We've got at least 8 cities in the U.S. that decriminalized psychedelics. The movement continues to gain momentum. Oregon legalized psilocybin therapy in 2020. Colorado legalized all psychedelic plant medicines in 2022. Australia legalized psilocybin and MDMA therapy in 23. MDMA-assisted psychotherapy will likely be approved by the FDA this year or next. And California will likely legalize plant medicines within the next 1 to 2 years. So, with that said, there's a ton of buzz on this. And while the official push, and this is Paul Austin today, and I thought this was so poignant, while the official push with all the noble and important legal efforts is largely for medicalization and the medical access model, I believe the effect on the culture will be similar to cannabis, i.e., we have an underground market. We have a black market, right? Officially recognized medical use and lack of consequences will generate massive interest outside of the medical model. And with all this rising interest comes a lot of opportunity for those who want to be involved. And we're not talking about fancy slide decks from startups hustling for investors. We're talking about real, authentic, heart-centered humans who want to have a psychedelic career of their own, on their own terms. And I know a few people in this room that have licenses, license holders from IPI and some other institutions. I know people that are in the medical field, psychiatry, MDs, that really want to get involved with this stuff. But they can't have access to the medicine according to the medical model that we're building. So that brings us to where we stand right now. So there's a 2-tiered market that's opening up with all the products that are available here on the black market. There's a recreational side where you're seeing chocolate bars, different types of capsules, tinctures, all different product types that are made available. And you can't go without saying that the recreational use, the celebrational use of psychedelics is so important, right? I mean, for me, as coming of age, a boy in college, experimenting with psychedelics, going off into the woods and taking hikes, just, really having mind-expanding experiences has helped to shape who I am as a person. And those medicines were really instrumental in me becoming a man and taking that journey. And so there's a recreational component to this black market that's being established. But what I want to speak to tonight is really the medical side of the house. And it's not, slamming half a handful of shrooms down your throat or, getting involved in some other, recreational purposes, but really being able to provide medicine that is suitable for gray market medical usage. And, with that, there are, it's confusing even for the practitioners that are trained in psychedelics because there's no regulation currently. So, you're constantly having to figure out, like, who is your source for this stuff? Where do they come from? What is their intention? Are they testing the medicine? What is in it? Is it labeled properly? And so kind of here we are at this crossroads. And so what you see right here is just like this understanding like what product classifications are even available is very important. So in the case of the psychedelic space, psilocybin specifically, we're finding that the market is segmenting into 4 distinct segments. Number 1 would be the functional mushroom segments. You go into CVS, you go into Walgreens, chaga, reishi, cordyceps, you name it. The functional mushroom boom has come and it's following the psychedelic boom. They're both picking up momentum together. And the use of adaptogens and nootropics, really the market's through the roof there. And so that's great that the natural benefits of medicinal mushrooms are out there. That's a very distinct segment in what we call this kind of psilocybin movement. Psilocybin cubensis, good old-fashioned psilocybin cubensis, golden teachers, penis envy, the old favorites and the old faithful. Products that are being made with natural cubensis mushrooms out there, either in its pure form, ground up, put into capsules, put into gummies, put into some other medium for administration, or whether those mushrooms are extracted and they're using that pure extract to manufacture products with. So this is another classification that's out there. Amanita muscaria. I see a ton of Amanita muscaria products that are hitting the market. The old red mushroom cap with the white dots, very synonymous in the segment. Amanita muscaria is actually a legal psychedelic mushroom as of right now. So you're finding a lot of these products with Amanita popping up in smoke shops, vape shops, and bodegas. And so that's another product class in this whole psilocybin kind of mushroom boom. And then finally, you've got synthetics. So synthetics are hitting the market. 4-ACO-DMT is a molecule you'll find probably in 80 to 90% of the quote-unquote mushroom bars that you'll find sold in, like I said, some of these vape shops, bodegas, and gas stations and that sort of thing. So might be blowing your mind a little bit with a lot of information coming out of the gate, but this is important to understand. Again, when we're going and we're looking at the products that are out there and we're looking at the importance of being able for facilitators to have access to these products to do the work that they do, it's important to understand what's in them. In terms of product types, what are we seeing right now? You name it, it's out there. Gummies, dried mushroom, capsules, tinctures, quick dissolve tablets. I haven't seen any topical psilocybin products yet, but I'm sure they're coming. The product classifications are something it's interesting to experiment with different product classifications. I prefer capsules over eating raw fruit. I prefer tinctures for some different nootropics and adaptogens. And if I'm using this recreationally or celebrationally, I usually like to take the gummies because they taste good and they're easy to transport. So, these are the different product classifications that we're seeing. So here we come to the big issue. What are you taking? Where is it coming from? What is in it? What's the dose? Is this a micro or a macro? Give me some guidance here. And so this is really where we've kind of formed this really as a concept at this point with PsiloSafe to say, hey, look, we need to form some sort of self-regulatory organization, self-regulating organization, somebody that can kind of oversee the products that are out there and set some type of standards and guidance so that we don't have a black swan event that hits a national news channel and then our movement in psychedelics and mental wellness goes away for another 50 years like it did in the 60s. So really this push for PsiloSafe is more or less creating some type of standards and regulation so that the mom and pops, so that the big brands, the small brands, any brands that are participating in the gray market, black market, that are supporting therapists and practitioners have some standards that they can use to give those folks safe access to medications they can use with their patients. So, what's happening here is the industries, we're starting to build up an industry. You've got cultivation, you've got supply chain, there's people that are doing things for different purposes with different standards, and we're starting to kind of sift through to understand who's really in the business for the right intentions, how are they cultivating, what intention is going behind serving that medicine. As we all know, sacred earth medicines can be served in a way that's very haphazard. It's gonna deliver a much different result than medicine that's grown and produced specifically for therapeutic purposes and for spiritual purposes. So key considerations. And really, as somebody who is concerned with bad things happening and stifling this grassroots underground movement, we consider like the micro-macro dose conversation. I thought I was taking a micro dose. It was a macro dose. Sometimes that can be a really cool experience. For my buddy the other week, the micro dose that he's using regularly, he took that, on the daily. It was like on the Fadiman protocol, once every other, once every third day. Jumped on a Zoom call and got a hot micro that day. So, it was like we had a problem there. I really wasn't responding in the way that I typically do, and people started laughing at me. So, in this case, it wasn't anything that was detrimental, but it's not optimal, if you're using these products therapeutically, to have dosing variability. So the micro-macro conversation is something that we want to address. Quality control and sterility, all right? How many times have you, how do you even know where the stuff comes from? Do you find a cat hair that's in the gummy? Do you even know if they were wearing rubber gloves and they were making it? Somebody's mom's garage is now turned into a chocolate factory. It's like, yo, man, if it's being produced in small batches on the recreational side of the house, I guess you take what you take, right? But if you're really looking for medications and support that can be used in this clinical or pseudo-clinical setting, you really want to know where it comes from. You have to know your source. So that's another key consideration for PsiloSafe. And then the path to wellness piece, right? So it's great that the microdosing movement is here, and I think, it's wonderful, the James Fadimans and the Stamets, and everybody's getting involved in it, and even CNN and Fox want a piece, But, the reality of the situation is that the microdosing movement really doesn't have anything to do with microdosing. The medicine is just the tip of the fucking spear. And this movement, or this renaissance, is really opening up an opportunity for people to open up about their conditions. Maybe they were on SSRIs previously. Maybe they've been abusing alcohol. Maybe they're just looking for some other way out of the box, and something new comes along. So this pathway to wellness piece is, just like the Western medical model, instead of just jamming pills down people's throats and expecting an outcome, we need to be pairing these folks with practitioners, with healers, with licensed therapists, with somebody in the community that has had a positive experience so they can share their experience, strength, and hope and bring somebody on board the right way. So it's a responsibility thing. And, I stand up here today because I believe that this grassroots underground movement is where it's at. I really applaud all of the fast-moving, highly funded organizations that are doing some great research with natural psilocybin, with synthetics, but I think this is where the rubber meets the road, right in this room. There's people in this room that work with folks with the medicine. If you want to find them, you can seek them out. But this is where the action happens, and this is where the accessibility happens. And I feel we need to kind of enter into this whole commercialization phase with these products in a way that's morally, ethically, and socially responsible. And so, that's kind of what the whole method to the madness of PsiloSafe is today. This is just a funny video that I put in here. Yeah, it's getting kind of dry, all those bullet-pointed slides. So we'll play it again, fuck it. Yeah. That might have been the K-hole that was spoken about previously, I don't know. So the tagline here, and so again, PsiloSafe, this is a community-based initiative. This is at concept stage right now. I talk about this quite a bit. This is the first time I'm actually presenting it to a live studio audience, so thank you for sitting through this with me as I chop through it. But if you're vibing with this content and this direction, let's do it together. Let's get involved because I believe that, it's really upon all of us as healers, therapists, producers, manufacturers, brand makers to kind of work together to make sure that, again, this black swan event which is looming doesn't happen and it's handled properly. So PsiloSafe is a community-based initiative for setting standards and providing guidance for manufacturer of psilocybin products. So here's one example, like as a product manufacturer, what types of things do you need to concern yourself with to make sure that you're delivering safe, effective products? So we talked about microdose versus macrodose, right? It's important that the products that that the material that you're using to make the products that you're distributing have been tested. So you have to understand the potency of the material that you're using in the products. There's the whole microdose, macrodose discussion. And there's probably about 7 or 8 testing labs that are out there now. Safe and responsible manufacturers are testing the material that they're using in their products prior to making them. That's an important piece of PsiloSafe guidance. The second one is the labeling review. So I don't know how familiar you are with the products that are out there or where you're picking your products up. But like I said, you can go to LA and literally like buy this stuff in a gas station. But every single smoke shop and bodega is selling it. I was down in Miami, same thing. You can buy polka dot bars, Amanita gummies. Half the people don't even know what it is. It just says psychedelic bar, and they're grabbing it, and it could be 4-ACO-DMT, it could be bath salts, I don't know. Hopefully not, but the important thing is really just understanding the labeling. And so, pointed out a few things here. Take a good look at the labels of the products that you're purchasing if you're out there. Is it made with natural mushrooms? That's an important criteria. Were those mushrooms tested? How potent is the actual product? Is it made with 4-ACO-DMT, a synthetic? Is it made with an extract? That's going to be a point of consideration because an extract is about 100x potency of dried ground cubensis mushrooms. So within the labeling, just make sure that it's got a caution statement. It's got a statement of what you can expect in terms of onset. When is it going to start? When is it going to stop? What's the effect going to be like? What's the potency like with this particular product? Typically a QR code or something that'll connect you into the testing of that product, or at least provide supplemental information that they can't provide on the packaging based on limited time and limited space. Some type of a seal of warning. The universal mushroom warning symbol is always something to look out for there. And then, of course, the ingredients. So yeah, this is one brand here, did a labeling review here of this counterculture brand, did a second labeling review of this Happy Caps brand, this is capsules, and again, just trying to set some basic standard of if you're gonna have product out there, you need to kind of have the basic blocking and tackling covered. And the customer needs to know where it came from, how potent it is, how long it's gonna last, and how can I get more information if I need it. It's also important to understand what type of dosing you're getting yourselves involved with, because when I spoke previously about the 4 different segments, synthetic psilocybin for ACO DMT, natural mushrooms, natural mushroom extract, and amanita have very different dosing profiles. So 1 gram of this particular substance could provide a very different experience than 1 gram of that particular substance. So understanding dosing guidelines and capabilities, and understanding like how much amanita do I need to take to get the effect that I'm looking for, which is my typical 1 gram of cubensis. So, the dosing considerations are very important. So what are we offering now? So as PsiloSafe, really what we are at this point is an unfunded organization that is looking for just people to jump on the bandwagon here. If you're a producer of products, if you're a cultivator of medicine, if you're a facilitator, if you are involved in any way in this movement, we're looking for your support to help set standards. What's the basic information we need to see on these products? What's the basic protocol, or just like the basic steps for sterility and for manufacturing that people that want to be involved in this organization need to have? So we have access to testing through about 6 different testing labs that we're working with currently. There's no direct corporate affiliation with them. It's just a referral network, but folks that are involved in the cultivation of mushrooms or the final production of products. If you're not working with a testing laboratory, come and see me. There's a great laboratory here up in Oakland, Oakland Hi-Fi. Hi-Fi Labs, very local, very close. We work with another facility out of Colorado called Triptomics, but get the product tested. Make sure that the product that you are sourcing for your own consumption or for your own products is tested, that there's a COA prior to actually using that material in a production setting. Good manufacturing guidelines. So we're in the process right now of putting together a 10-step checklist of basic good manufacturing guidelines, so that you don't need to be a GMP compliant pharmaceutical grade facility to make good quality medicine and safe medicine. But there are certain standards that need to be ensured, so that when you take that product to market, it's being shown in the best light and in the essence of safety. Guidance for labeling and packaging, we've kind of already gone over that, but that's a very important piece. The standardization piece right now for the gray market is so important, just for understanding what's the desired effect. So like having universal symbols on the packaging, making things repeatable for the customer, maybe standardizing dosing in terms of dosing grid for microdosing, or 1 square of a chocolate. So setting those standards to help the consumer not get blown away or be involved in an unexpected effect is another important piece. And then we also have access to more of a technology side here in terms of answering any and all questions that you would have about psilocybin, about mushrooms, about functional mushrooms. Mush GPT is a GPT AI that we have just developed, and we have a team that's feeding that GPT and can serve as your special personal bot for any questions within this space. Yeah. So it always has to come back to tech, right? We're in the Bay Area. Some other areas of focus that we'll kind of move into a phase 2. Number 1, I'm going to be rolling this org up under the Entheology Project out of San Francisco. My good friend there has a religious exemption as well as a nonprofit that's already been established, so we are going to put this under a nonprofit organization. And some of the things that are on our roadmap, once we do get that org established and we start to figure out how to fund it, and get some quality minds and people behind us is a Personal Freedom and Protection Act, so a legal fund. So we have a group of attorneys that specialize in this space to give some protections to people that may be in the production side, whether it be cultivation, manufacturing, producers. There's just a lot of questions out there, and I think with this burgeoning gray market, it's important for people to understand what their exposure is, and how to limit any liability. Production excellence, as I said, we're coming up with a manifesto, more or less, just guidance and guidelines that you can use for at-home production and manufacturing. Testing and analytics, we've got access to the labs there as well. Pathways to wellness is another piece that we're kind of road mapping out probably at the 6-month mark, and that would be just being able to provide a good lead generation tool for facilitators, integrators. If you're selling the medicine, at least provide access to someone that can help you understand how to use that medicine. A quick start guide isn't going to work for psychedelics. And then finally, a consumer qualifications piece. So we're thinking about a gated qualification, so consumers that want to get involved in therapeutic gray market use of psilocybin products now. It's important to understand, first and foremost, are there any contraindications with current medications? Is there any mood disorders, schizophrenia, something that could be potentially a problem in family history? And just qualify that patient on a base level to even order the products or even have access to this gray market. That gateway will serve as an excellent point of gathering data on that particular customer to then serve that customer as a lead to facilitators that can kind of take it from there and do the hand-holding. And yeah, this is it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're really just here because we love psychedelics. And, with everything that's going on, we can't forget to come back to our roots, right? And that's taking a few mushrooms, taking LSD, safe, responsible, celebrational use of psychedelics to get back in touch with nature, to get back to Mother Earth, and to feel the things that we're not feeling in the external world. And that'll do it. Appreciate your time. Perfect. Yeah, if anybody has any questions.
And could you repeat them back?
I will do that. Thank you.
I consider like any traditional relationship with psychedelics to be couched within and inseparable from herbalism, and so there's no standards or testing on herbalism because this culture doesn't think natural medicine is real. So I'm just curious if you know anything, being as involved in you are in like creating standards and testing. Like, have there been any conversations with colleagues in your spaces around like that relationship with herbalism as a larger topic?
I'm not sure that I understand the question.
Oh, I can answer it.
Go for it.
So, yeah, I mean, and what I advise patients and consumers in general is to be buying supplements and herbal medicines from companies or farmers who make products where there is transparency of having a ceiling, So it's like what's in the product and what's not in the product, right? So, I mean, we know this now with mold and heavy metals and aluminum and all the things. Exactly, yeah. So because FDA doesn't, then we have to take it in our own hands of, okay, what's actually, that's what I would say.
Thank you, Dr. Lita. Thank you for your question.
I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned the legal fund and that being more around producers, cultivators. What about healthcare professionals? So specifically like those of us who work in healthcare and risk losing our licenses if we
Yeah.
were to
Yeah.
work in tandem with these medicines.
For sure. So the legal fund is more or less It's an idea. We have a group called the Legal Eagles up in San Francisco, and we want to tap into their network so that any constituents of PsiloSafe or anybody that gets involved in this community can have that support. And I mean, it can go for producers, it could go for cultivators, it could go for facilitators, MDs, anyone to at least understand where your boundaries are when you're operating within this framework. I mean, let's face it, the gray market isn't going anywhere. Like, look at cannabis. Cannabis is still dominated 75% by black market sales. And so we're going to be out here for a long time. And like I said, I think that it's very important that we work with medical professionals to not have adverse effects and adverse situations. So, the Legal Eagles will be able to consult with any constituencies, either on a one-on-one level or in probably group settings. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. I guess I wonder, like, who's having the conversation in order to help this enter the medical field so that you're not risking your career in the first place. So, like, what steps are being taken in that realm to get it legitimized so that, if you're using it with psychiatry, with any kind of medical treatment, that it's accepted. So I guess
Right.
you mentioned with the FDA, and maybe that's a step. But
It could be. It's a great question that I can't answer at this point. I mean, you go out on a limb with your license. I mean, I've got psychiatrists that source medicine from me because they can't be a reseller. They don't want to get involved with it. They come to me as a referral source. I serve as a go-between by MDs, psychs, people, license holding therapists that they're shit out of luck career-wise if they get caught with this, but they need an intermediary because it's so important to some of the patient practice and cases. So, thank you for bringing it up.
Thinking about license, I'm also licensed, and so your licensed options are working with ketamine, as was mentioned before. Working with cannabis is also an option, but a little grayish because not federal.
Yeah.
And a few other medicines that are not scheduled. But the way for that is the MAPS path, right? And so as soon as they get FDA approval for MDMA and psilocybin, that'll be the way. But it'll probably be constrained in certain ways and medical settings and things like that. So, but that is that path, right?
Yeah.
You can do some. There's also like in that in the therapy world, like a gray area, I guess, is harm reduction and in decriminalized areas. You can say, well, they brought their medicine, right? And they're, to some extent, I'm helping them to not go do any more harm with this. And so there are people who do harm reduction agreements, things like that. But that's kind of the gray area of this as well.
And this is such we could probably go on for hours on this topic because it's just so convoluted, And I hope the point that I make is that I'm here to work with you all to support this gray market. The black market, the way I look at it is it's opportunists, it's people that are out there selling mostly recreational use products, and you really don't know what the hell's in it sometimes. This medical side is so important, and if we can work together to figure out how to get good, clean, safe medical practices to manufacture with small mom and pop shops and work with the facilitators to guard and protect where we're at right now with this, we really can make an impact and a ripple effect. And I know that some of you that are working with patients on a regular basis are already seeing this. So it's pretty critical right now. Yeah.
I had another question with regards to, so I've seen these kits that apparently test potency, and you can like sample a little bit of your mushroom here and
Yeah.
there and that. How does that work, or what you know of it? How accurate can that be? Because potency varies so much, as you explained. What is being used right now in terms of testing and potency?
I mean, I don't know a lot about the home use tests, but they're basic reagent tests, and I really couldn't speak to the accuracy or the validity of those. I mean, any of the mushrooms that come into my realm are sent through one of our testing partners. So I understand when that comes to me, whether it, that it's various different strains, it's multiple cultivators, all well-intended cultivators that are cultivating specifically for therapeutic medicinal purposes. But they go off to the lab, and we get a potency test on them from the lab, and there's like an 8-tier, a 12-tier, where it's listing multiple alkaloids and tryptamines. And the most important part for the manufacturing piece is just understanding how potent it is. You know, because if you're using golden teachers, and then you switch to an Enigma or a tidal wave, you know, you're going to blow the doors off of some folks, and that's where you get into the inconsistent dosing piece.
So is that what you're testing for mostly is potency? Like when it gets sent to these labs and stuff like that, like what are the other things that they are testing and what makes something acceptable versus unacceptable?
Yeah, good question, good question. So the question is, what other things are they testing at the lab besides potency? So heavy metals, mold, the other tryptamines, the spectrum of tryptamines and alkaloids, similar to cannabis with the cannabinoids. Like, look at all of the wonderful cannabinoids that have kind of been parceled out over the years in terms of research: CBD, CBN, CBG, CBZ. I just made that up, it doesn't exist. But, you know, similar to that, mushrooms have a tryptamine and an alkaloid spectrum. And, you know, the more that we learn, the sad thing about cannabis research, as we kind of get into this testing discussion, is that if they would have fast-tracked cannabis long ago, we would have been so far along in the mixing board of which different terpenes and cannabinoids work together in a synergistic effect to handle a specific condition with a specific patient. With, as I said, with all the research and the buzz that's going on here and some of these molecules being fast-tracked through the FDA, studies are getting funded, and we're finding out more and more about what the you know, secondary alkaloids and tryptamines really mean with interacting with the human body. So to answer your question simply, for me, it's purity and potency, period. Heavy metals, mold, and potency, because I don't know enough about baeocystin and what the benefits are going to be for a PTSD patient, for instance. So, but that's coming.
One more?
Sure, I have time for one more question. Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And I'll be around later if you have any questions further.